Yeah, isn't it kind of funny how we had this exact same conversation with my other favorite team, Samuel Montembeault and the Montreal Canadiens, just a few hours ago? Today what I wanted to do was talk about the Vancouver Canucks once more, and dive into their goaltending situation. Because man, I feel like this video doesn't need to be made, but at the same time, there are conversations going around on social media, people are buzzing, people are talking, and I wanted to get my opinions out there as well, because of course, when it comes to my favorite team in the Vancouver Canucks, how can I avoid talking about one of the biggest issues glaring against this team? No, we're not talking about Pettersson. We had an entire segment in yesterday's post-game video diving into that, but I wanted to talk about the goaltending today because when it comes to Vancouver Canucks goaltender Arturs Silovs, I think at this point, many Canucks fans' opinions are starting to look a little bit wrong. And in particular, I'm talking about a very specific idea that we had seen in the offseason after the 2024 playoffs and where the Vancouver Canucks actually showed up and they played until Game 7. They ultimately lost Game 6 and 7 against Edmonton, blowing a 3-2 series lead. But one of the big conversations that I actually remember quite thoroughly in the summer of this previous season was the idea of the Vancouver Canucks trading away Thatcher Demko. Why? Well, because they've got a guy who can be a starter right here. His name is Arturs Silovs, and he took over the team against the Nashville Predators. He was better than Casey DeSmith. He won out the spot. He won out the series, and then he was up 3-2 against Edmonton. There was an idea floating around there saying, hey, he's good enough. He can be the starter. He had stepped up and elevated his game in big moments. Now, there's a possibility to trade Demko. Ultimately, we recognize that the Canucks did not do that. Trading away Thatcher Demko without having a definitive handle on his recovery process was always going to be a ridiculous idea, but the fact that the idea was even talked about in the first place, the fact that people had the opportunity to say, hey, he's been so good, we can trade away the other guy, it did kind of signal where the collective body of Vancouver Canucks fans' mindset was at when it comes to looking at Arturs Silovs. It would be him and it would be Lankinen battling it out for the top spot while waiting for Thatcher Demko to return, and ultimately the Canucks would go with some sort of a 3-goalie rotation. But Silovs had that vote of confidence, right? Despite the fact that at the end of the Edmonton series, it was very apparent that his weakness was long shots. Screened, unscreened, he had a difficult time squaring up and tracking long-range distant floaters from guys like Cody Ceci, etc. Even in the preseason, we had seen these issues pop up time and time out. Against the Calgary Flames, it was particularly noteworthy because, again, the Canucks might have actually lost that game because of those long-range floaters. And now, in a game like yesterday's, Arturs Silovs doesn't necessarily let in the long-range floater. He had one middle-range distance shot from Timo Meier that was kind of not really his fault because it went through Tyler Meier's legs, but he still had himself a very bad save percentage. The Vancouver Canucks netminder has played 3 games this year, and his highest save percentage was an .885 in a 4-1 loss against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Silovs had a .769 against the Calgary Flames, 6 goals against on 26 shots. He had 3 goals against and 26 shots against Tampa Bay, and then yesterday, 16 saves, 22 total shots, 6 goals against, .727 save percentage. His overall save percentage is a .797, and his goals against is a .450. Now, you can look at Silovs' .291 goals against and .898 save percentage in the playoffs last year and say, hey, that already isn't, like, fantastic, but there still were some highlights that were definitely putting Silovs in a better light than you would expect with an .898 save percentage. He had the shutout victory against Nashville to seal the deal and take the series. He had the comeback victory against Nashville. Silovs had himself a pretty good resume in that first-round series against the Predators, but eventually, in the Oilers series, he kind of got exposed. He had some games where he was above 900, 933 save percentage in Game 3, actually. That's what stands out to me the most. But still, Arturs Silovs, for the most part, was not a 900 caliber saving goaltender. And that's okay, because he gave the Canucks enough results and enough mojo that they needed to potentially win the series on their own. This year, though, I mean, look, the Canucks got shut out on home ice. It's the worst shutout they have exhibited in a losing effort in, like, almost 20 years? What was that stat? The Canucks hadn't gotten shut out at home like that for so long? Ay, ay, ay. I get it, Arturs Silovs, Kevin Lankinen, these guys can't score goals, so obviously they're not in charge for the Canucks putting up a 0. And yeah, as we had said in yesterday's postgame, Silovs was not really responsible for, like, most of those chances. It's hard to stop a cross crease, it's hard to stop a 2-on-1, it's hard to stop a shot you can't see when Tyler Myers is blocking, and it's hard to stop backdoor tap-ins. Silovs doesn't really have the blame, I would say, for not being able to stop a backdoor Jack Hughes wide-open chance, or a backdoor Tomas Tatar chance. But at the same time, you need a save. And I'm not saying that Kevin Lankinen would have necessarily saved those and the Canucks would have won if he did, but there are game dynamics that can change if you get a good save or if you get that one extra highlight reel stop that you wouldn't really get mad at the goalie if he let it in, but at the same time, if he saves it, it's like, wow, you are a superhero. Now we have conversations like this popping up on social media. What is the Arturs Silovs response? This was posted onto the Canucks sub. It was removed because it wasn't actually in the game thread, but we did have some comments going out there and saying, Silovs needs more development in the AHL. This is it. He's really not played all that many pro games. The 2021 season he only played 1 game. That must have delayed his development a bit. He just needs more time. Another reply says, y'all did this with Spencer Martin getting hot for 6 games once upon a time too. Silovs clearly just got hot at the right time for us. Obviously, we were lucky that he wasn't a major liability against the Edmonton Oilers. He's still raw on the fundamentals, but was able to make the abandoned technique and just find a way, hero saves. Except having bad fundamentals will eventually get exposed. See the Yankees today losing the World Series. Honestly, Silovs did let in a number of soft goals in the playoffs. He often didn't seal his paths to the ice when the play comes out from behind the net, and he doesn't fight through screens well, yet. That, I think, is a really good point as well, that Canucks fans can and will find ways to overrate goaltenders that have very good small sample sizes to end off seasons. Spencer Martin was exactly the same thing a few years ago, so maybe there is a lesson to be learned here, but of course, you know, Spencer Martin was a lot older than Arturs Silovs is right now, and also you gotta remember that the Canucks acquired Martin for free from Tampa Bay because they needed to get him off the payroll. Silovs was a prospect drafted through and through, and he's still young enough that you can definitely say there's room for development, and that's discussed about in spades in some of the other comments here. Playoff Artie was sub 900, and that was before the sophomore slump. Unfortunately, he is yet to show that he can be a true NHL goalie. He's not ready, and that's fine, but if they don't realize that quickly, then the book on him will be easier to read. The foundation is there, but he needs more time to develop in the AHL. Bring up Patera until Demko is ready. Please be ready soon. I'll start harvesting knees, serial killer style if I have to, and let's not burn Silovs out early in his career. So, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What do the Vancouver Canucks do with Arturs Silovs? Send him down? Keep him up? At the time of recording this audio, I don't think he's going to be sent down, but who knows? Anything can change with the flip of a finger at Patrick Allvin's discretion. So, if the Vancouver Canucks even have it in them at some point to make a move where it's like, oh, we'll send Silovs down, we'll call Patera up, do you think that's a possibility here? If, by some miracle, the Vancouver Canucks do that move, and then I look like a fool in this video because I'm pre-recording it the night before and uploading it later tomorrow at noon, then I guess we'll talk about it, but still. Artie Party, what's the story? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Arturs Silovs and the way his NHL career has gone so far. Do you think he's been good enough? Do you think he's got it in him to improve in the short term? I think a lot of us are still more optimistic longer term because he's so young and he's still got potential, but with Arturs Silovs right now, what are you thinking about? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.